Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining tonight's event. We're going to be discussing Every Frame Has a Story, How to Tell It and Sell It by Jackie O'Keefe. So I am your host for tonight. My name is Dr. Ariel Sorenzi, and we have our owner of Wu University, Dr. Stephanie Wu, here as well. So now I get the honor of introducing our speaker. What an amazing topic. It is something that we're really not trained on as optometrists is how do we present these options to patients? And it's crazy because that's what we're prescribing all day. So I'm really excited to hear from the expert in the field. I've heard that she's an absolutely amazing speaker and excited to hear from her today. So Jackie O'Keefe is a ABOC licensed in Virginia and has been in the optical industry since 1981. Jackie has written, published, and presented numerous CPC and ABO courses on a variety of optical topics. She was recently honored as one of the top 10 speakers for Vision Expo and Opticon East. And she is a contributing writer for 2020 magazine on Transitions Optical Speakers Bureau, a course preparer for quantum optical. So we're so excited to hear from her. Thank you so much for joining us, Jackie.
It's absolutely my pleasure to be here. So my financial disclosure is going to be, I am on Transitions Optical's Speakers Bureau. So the course is going to be Every Frame Has a Story, How to Tell It and Sell It. I truly hope that you enjoyed this as much as I've enjoyed writing it. So when we talk about your practice, we talk about the fact that you really have two distinct profit centers in one building. One would be your medical clinic and the other would be your optical, which is frames, lenses, and accessories. Of course, this course is going to be talking about your frames. So we think about these as like little department stores. So whether it's your frame board or a kiosk or a display, it's a department stores. It's departmentalizing within your optical, and they must generate revenue. So if your frame boards certain ones are turning over, we look at your optical frame boards as being real estate, that is valuable real estate. So if frames aren't turning over, we want to find out why. And when frames are turning over, we want to analyze what makes them so special. So when we talk about that, valuable space. So if certain frames or brands at one time are not paying the rent, well, they must be replaced with product that will. And we're going to hit that in just a little bit. So a very healthy frame environment, it helps to ensure a very profitable center for your optical business. So when you have a new brand of eyewear, how do you position it? Do we get excited about it? Do you have a trunk show? Do you promote these? And I got to tell you, doctors, as an optician for 40 years, we love fresh product. We tend to walk by certain brands that have been sitting there in the same position over and over again for months or weeks at a time. So we love to have fresh product. We love to celebrate that as well. So within the walls of your practice, there's actually some opportunities, hidden opportunities, if you will. If you have a time to stage the area, so if you know that you have a contact lens patient coming in who loves to, go to the beach or do water skiing, or someone who downhill skis, when time allows, under lock and key, of course, you stage the area and you put product in the lane, you put it in the pre-test, or the contact lens room if they're having an INR, that will reach out to them, because according to the U.S. Department of Commerce, 90% of consumers will impulse purchase based on two factors. One, if it presents itself in front of them, and the other is if that brand or product speaks to them. So try to stage the area whenever possible. Everybody should wear eyewear, unless you're a LASIK clinic and that's your philosophy. Everybody in-house, even epitrodes with no refractive error, should be wearing their eyewear. Let's say you practice in the great state of Florida. A lot of seniors and elderly are going to be coming to see you, so wear your eyewear. If you're in a college environment, talk about boost or bump lenses along with cool frames to go with them. So regardless of if you're urban or suburban, we should all work the same. We should wear it by example, and we should wear it again. When I was working with an optometric practice, and the eye doctor, thankfully, I handed the patient off to me, we would talk about lenses. I would remove my frames and say, oh, these are my reading glasses, these are my room distance glasses. But then you do it again with frame talk. You've got to see a new brand we just got. I'm so excited about it. We would change our eyewear again. So don't just wear eyewear, change it in front of the patient so they can see that, wow, maybe I want to be on board with maybe multiple pairs as well. Kind of plants that seed. When it comes to your optical environment, human beings are attracted to shiny things, right? So this is a picture of my cell phone in a mall, Pandora. No secret that, ladies and gentlemen, our diamonds will never shine as brightly as they did the first time we tried them on in the store, right? So think about that in your optical as well. Nice lighting. Frames are going to pop, especially if they have adornments on them. Make it nice and light and bright. For your patients to be interested in those eyewears. And there's also some subliminal ways that we want to sell frames that are higher end. Of course, doctors, all due respect, you can't sell frames that are high end if you don't carry them or try them. But when you go into a jewelry store, like this example here, the higher end product is probably right here in the front. And as you gravitate your way through the retail environment, back there would be your low end or value end, or maybe even your Davis Tower, right? So we want to have the high end coming in first, and then as they navigate through your optical, whether it's a square room or a round room, think about that what they see first when they walk in. We want that to be your higher end frames, which would probably also be designer frames. And so fashion, two of the first designers that came on board were Diane von Furstenberg and Sophia Loren. So the branding of eyewear had taken eyeglasses out of the medical device category that we witnessed in the 70s. And so I remember when there was a brand that came out called Givenchy. We didn't know how to pronounce it, so we said Gavinci. Even when I say the word Gavinci, I feel like I'm making a face, right? So try it yourself, Gavinci. It doesn't feel very good. We had to learn about fashion, learn how to embrace it, how to talk about the definitions and pronounce them. So we could say Givenchy. So fashion plays a huge role in branding. And successful brands are really built from the bottom up. Successful brands have a look of their own. Maybe it's going to be like a little differentiation, how distinct that brand is to that person. So I have a reason to choose you over this brand because I also feel like I need to have you. So why bother to purchase anything if there's nothing in it for the end user? So we're going to continue building that brand. How well regarded the brand is, I like you, I feel good about you, I'm drawn to you. So truly successful brands, when consumers see the product, they feel good about that. So we don't want to taint a brand within the practice. And by the way, your eye care professionals, your team in your practices, doctors, they don't have to love every brand that walks in the door, but they have to pretend like they like those brands, because it's important for that end user, your patients, to see that. You also have to have an intimate understanding of what the brand is. In other words, I know you. I feel like I know you. I like you. I need you. I have to have you. And it stems from the drawing board. So it's called concept to completion. A designer has a vision. So use my little mouse over here, my cursor. The vision is over here and the reality is here. So from the concept from that designer, whether it be certain materials, colors, styles, sizes, adornments, the designer has a vision and he or she has it manufactured. And then they find someone to distribute it. And then they decide on cases and cloths and how they're going to market that. Then it goes to your sales rep and then it goes to you, to the patient. By the time the patient is presented that brand, the patient should have an understanding of what that designer had in the first place. So concept to completion, you really must know the brand. If your rep can't give you that information, then call the frame company and say, you know what, I need a deeper understanding of not just what the designer had in mind, but who the designer had in mind. A woman in her 60s, a woman in her 40s, men, children. So we have to know who the patient demographic is, who the end user is, because that's who the frame is designed for in the first place. I hear from people sometimes that'll say, Jackie, this frame is not selling, this brand is not selling. And I'll say, well, who are you offering it to? Who's the end user demographic? Who do we want to offer that to? And it can make a huge difference and success stories when you actually know who to provide that to. Brand buyers, right? They're status conscious. They desire the latest. They enjoy accessorizing. We can see all this here. They actually will justify spending additional dollars if they're loyal to a particular brand. They know that they might be more expensive, but if they're loyal to that brand, they're willing to spend more money on that. They also place, they enjoy accessorizing, excuse me, I jumped over myself. And they place a high value on popular brands. So we think about this as well, what the patient or brand buyers looking for and what's going in their mind when they see a brand that they like, and the brands that we offer them. And by the way, we're going to hit in just a little bit, I think it's the next slide, about types of high end or mid end or low end. And it's about different brands we can offer our patients, but all brands aren't, Gucci and Cartier. There's some brands that the 2% of the US population loves. They're unique, differentiation. So if you go to Vision Expos, you'll see the Galleria area where you'll have some really amazing, innovative, unique frames that they stand out in the crowd. So the 2% of the population in the US will not wait until that frame, brand style gets to the US. They're going to fly out to the House of Coco Chanel and they're going to be purchasing it there. They want that unique, different look. Then after the innovators is going to come the early adopters. These consumers in the US market are going to shop at boutiques. They're going to adopt a style that's European, maybe 1 year into it. And then there's myself. I'm part of the majority, by the way. I wait until that style is accepted in my community, my peers, my friends, and my family. And then there's 16% of those that want a brand. They want a core spring hinge, double bar, titanium frame. So we look at this in terms of fashion in the US market. I look at it as frame inventory. So perhaps I want to have 70% of my frames be the majority, a comfort zone for someone like myself that likes the style, it's been accepted. And then I'm going to have 16% for those laggards who don't want brands, 13% for early adopters, and 2% for innovators. So we talk about that with frame board management, and we talk about frame board mix. So we see here 3 different types of displays. We have a little display here, we have a frame board, and we have shelves. And so we probably think that there's about 13 frames going from top to bottom. So when you talk about your brands, we don't want competing brands to be next to each other. Let's say, for instance, there's a brand that is meant for a millennial who's a geek chic and who likes to have cool fashion, and you have 2 of the exact same brands with the same end user profile. They're competing against each other. So they're taking up board space. So they may each turn over a little bit, but not nearly as much as if you had one brand that had that demographic. Going deeper quite simply means that you can see here, if there's 13 pieces going top to bottom, perhaps have 13 of one brand, or maybe even 26, 2 columns of the same brand. Because if I walk into an optical, particularly in the area that I first entered, that optical environment, if I see, we got 4 of this brand, 2 of these, 5 of these, personally, it's like a flea market approach to me. What's missing? Have they been here for a long time? Are they leftovers? Did nobody else want them? So remember the pyramid about your board mix, but think also about your competing brands and go deeper, meaning quite simply, going deeper means instead of having, here's 13, I'm going to have 13 different frame styles. I'm going to have maybe 3 and with different size and colors. I know a lot of folks are using virtual try-on technologies so they can see the colors and the different sizes, but we don't always have that in our practices. So go deeper with a style that you like, you think your patients would like, and then fill those frame boards. Fill those frame boards. Yeah, exactly. Sunwear mix, of course, is going to vary. Depends on whether you're in Colorado, Virginia Beach, you're in Florida, you're in North Dakota. For your average practice that may have their own niche within that practice, 25% is recommended. Of that 25, we know we have fashion, eyewear, and sports and kids. But I got to be honest with you, since COVID-19, I've seen a lot of do-it-yourselfers. My husband happens to be one. If we can't get a plumber in or someone to fix the siding outdoors, right? So a lot of do-it-yourselfers during COVID-19. So I'd recommend maybe some safety sunglasses beyond the sports category for those that are at home doing it themselves, right? And again, this is just a recommendation. It would be based on your demographics in your practice as well. Here we are. Now we're going to, let me just do something please real quick, talk about low, mid, high, and their bell curves, ring the BELL. So if I were to analyze this practice and look at these different price points, I might say to myself, I don't see a lot of sales in the retail of $1 to $1.50. So unless you're a value practice, I don't really need that to be part of my bell curve. So I'm going to start over here. About 55% of the product in this optical example is between $1.50 and $2.50. That's the majority. Here's the highest rate here. You may say, wow, that's great. We're selling a lot of frames. Over 100 frames are being sold with a price tag over $2.50. But look over here, the $2.50 to $2.99. It goes down and down. So how could we make this bell curve healthier? One way would be to try to fill product with these three price points, unless, again, you're a value practice, which has a great place in the US market. So I may look at some of the brands that may not be turning over in this price point of $1.50 to $1.99. I may look at the price points of these and say, well, if I have competing brands, if some aren't turning over, I'm going to just chop off my inventory and we'll talk about what to do when frames have to go. And I'm going to add to these price points, give it a few months, see how it works, take it for a spin drive, right? And then see if that's a good fit for your practice. So we don't think about, and when I worked with my mom for 20 years in Kennebunk, Maine, 20 years, we didn't look at price points. I can't lie to you. We looked at frames that we liked from reps that brought us cookie and Starbucks coffee. And we had a majority of women's frames, but do we really have a majority of women in the Kennebunks in Maine? So I think that price points are overlooked in some practices. So I would recommend that to take a look at as well in your frame board mix to sell a variety of price points. And by the way, I wouldn't jump too quickly going from a $2.50 to a $4.50 because your patients might see, wow, they got expensive all of a sudden. So maybe you want to slowly, gradually increase those higher price points. So on the material mix, I have a handout that has been added to there'll be a link in your chat to the handout. So it's a handout that I created. It's called Key Frame Materials Matter to Me, Material Reference. It's a PDF. It talks about plastic materials like Zyl and Optil. It mentions metals like pure titanium, stainless steel, and the metal references are in order of the most hypoallergenic to the least hypoallergenic. So if somebody has skin allergies and you want to sell them that frame, you're going to tell them all about how this material is going to be great for them. And when it comes to precious materials like wood and buffalo horn, that's also listed. It'll talk about the benefits of each of those materials, the unique properties, and handling tips. So if you want that in your chat feature, it's available to you. I thought it'd be better as a handout because I want to get really to some more interesting topics in this conversation versus just here's a material. So they can be something you can use on your own. So we have material mix and we have brand mix and price point mix. What about our socioeconomic factors, right? So again, who knew? Successful retailers knew to look at their immediate environment and find out what their patients are. What are the demographics, the age, gender, ethnicity, income levels? Because there are frame brands out there that cover some of these specifically. So I think that your mix is also important as well when it comes to those frames. So gender mix plays a big role in what we offer to our patients as well. Didn't know it then, but I know it now. I thought this was rather interesting. It talks about pricing for the heart. And this was a study that was done, and I'll have to reference that later. Consumers don't like 3. It's $143. They don't like it. You could try lucky number 7, $147. What we found over the years is absolutely 9. The frame is not $100. Wow, that frame is $100. Oh, wait. Oh, it's $99. So 99 is just under 100. $499 is just under 500. So having your price points and your price tags, pricing for the heart, absolutely try number 9. When it comes to frames under $1,000, sure, you could put $99 or $99.00. But when it comes to frames that are over $1,000, let's say it was $1,499, I would have $1,499 and leave it at that. When consumers see a long stretched out price tag, it overwhelms just a little bit. And the cost to carry, what that means is, according to the Vision Council, it can cost you, doctors and owners, it can cost you up to $16 per frame to carry, based on sitting down with your rep, because time is money. No one's producing. They're all sitting around and having cookies in Starbucks, right? And you have to ship the package to you, pay someone to open the box, and then take out the inventory, price it, put it in the computer, label it, tag it, put it on the frame board, sell it, adjust it, throw it away. So that unforeseen cost of $16. So when you think about your markup considerations, I'm not here to tell you what your markup should be, but just take into consideration that the cost to carry that eyewear may be a little bit higher than you thought it was, based on not just the price tag. We talked a little bit about, board mix and that sort of thing. So now we're ready to talk with our patients about it. We begin the process. So who's in the chair? One of the questions I would ask the patient in front of me, or the customer for me, would be, describe a typical day for me, please. Oh, and Dr. Wu may say, well, I'm an optometrist, and about 65% of my day I'm seeing patients with exams and medical testing. And 35% I'm doing admin, research, and consulting. And so I would think to myself, as the eye care professional, or even in the lane having the conversation, whether it's the pre-test or with the doctor, I'm already thinking, wow, room distance, computer, all these speakers. So she's probably traveling. So get her some nice looking eyewear that's trending, right? And then I'm going to ask another question, and it's going to be, when you're not acting as an optometrist or practicing during the day, what do you like to do? People love to talk about themselves. They may say, I want to read, I like to walk, ski, swim, hunt, or drive. So I'm already thinking of task-specific eyewear I can offer them, even if it's just for reading. I want to make sure it's going to be comfortable for them as well, because they may be looking down reading, so they could be sliding down their nose, for instance. Of course, going for a brisk walk. What's their environment outdoors? If they're skiers, absolutely ski, sunwear, eyewear, swimming wear, hunting for safety, and then driving. So it's two simple questions that we can ask our patients, again, before we talk about eyewear, to get an idea of what they do during their day. When we recommend the eyewear, we have to make it real. We can't just offer everything to everybody. So I like to talk about little testimonials. You look great in that frame because why? You look magnificent because it matches your eyebrow, and eyebrows are truly trending. You look amazing in that frame because with your beautiful, beautiful brown skin and the translucent, it's a great, beautiful contrast. Or you look amazing in that frame because it makes your eyes pop. So we want to make it real for them. There's got to be a reason why they look great in that frame, not that the frame looks good on them, because we want to compliment our patients, customers, clients, make them feel good about their purchases. You look great in that frame because. And the other would be a testimonial. Oh my goodness, you remind me of my niece, Kelly. She's also 24 years old. You have similar lifestyles. What that does is, with a testimonial, is it gives that patient a little piece of you, and they kind of think, wow, she's referencing her family with me. It makes me feel like I'm a part of the day. I'm a part of her. So it gives them a little piece of me. It makes them feel like they're part of what we're doing that day. And the other one would be, again, make it real. So doctors, I play spy. I will walk into an environment and I listen very, very carefully, not so much since COVID-19 because they have enough on their plate, and I bow down to those in the front lines during this horrific pandemic. But I'll walk in and I will listen to the eye care professionals say something like, oh, this is a great brand for you. And I know it's not. I know it's good for my mom or my niece. It's not good for a 60-year-old woman. So what are they getting? They kept pushing that brand at me. Are they getting spiff from the frame manufacturer or from the practice owner because they want to get rid of inventory? So we have to really make sure that when we're making it real, that we look at the target market, the end user, basically, who was the frame designed for in the first place. And from that point on, I can honestly recommend without feeling like a car salesman, if you will. So I was working with a group who was having a challenge with one of their team members recommending, he or she was newer, less seasoned than some of them. So we recommended sound bites. So sound bites are short and colorful enough to be repeated word for word. Sound bites, by the way, can be verbally, a quick little sound bite, maybe like a half a sentence. They could also be printed and placed throughout your optical environment. So it encourages conversations. The patient sees, I'm going to have some examples come up in just a little second here. They see the little sound bite in print and it encourages conversation. They need to be short, memorable, and fun, demographic friendly, depending on where your practice is, maybe even seasonally friendly, depending on what time of year it is. Sound bites should educate, entice, and enhance. They should really make that experience more, because we're still in an experience economy. We're not in a product economy, nor are we in a service economy. We are in an experience economy. So want to enhance that experience. The sound bites could mirror the brand's verbiage. If it's like a Cartier or a Coach that has other offerings, it could be a slogan, it could be a campaign. So the next slide is going to have some examples of these sound bites. So wears the exact same brand style, testimonial, trending. Brand B eyewear trends like a modern day Clark Kent. Variety of sports. Sportswear enhances your high performance activities. We're going to get more specific with the next one. Brand C eyewear, SUNWEAR is perfect for the beach. And then we have brand new. Brand D was just released this season, so it's brand new. And guess what? Exclusivity. There's certain patients that like exclusivity. Brand E is exclusive to us. You can't find this brand within a 50-mile radius. And by the way, exclusivity also makes room for a higher price tag, because those that like exclusive product are willing to pay a higher price tag for that. And then last but not least, exclusivity. So I would take these and put them throughout the practice. And by the way, little sidebar here, you can use these for any other product that you're offering. Like, how can I enhance your nighttime driving? Well, we know how we can do that with premium AR lenses. So trying to tell the story and sell the eyewear, I think the sound bites can be very useful, either verbally or framed throughout the optical, to get that conversation rolling, right? So we've already matched the eyewear to the patient, but it's time to sell that value. And there can be a variety of different unique properties of these frames and these brands that to make them valuable to the end user, right? So now it's time to resell the value and tell the story from behind the frame. Again, differentiation, so unique, it stands out in a crowd. That has value in the high-end market, as does exclusivity, sells value. Excuse me. Is it custom or unique? I thought this was very interesting. There is a gentleman who specializes in the generations, and he spoke at a Transitions Academy meeting. Boomers, it's no longer us anymore. So we have to sit aside and welcome the millennials. We love the word custom. So if a boomer comes in, I can customize your eyewear for you. If a millennial comes in, I can offer you unique eyewear just for you. So there's some verbiage to help sell that value based on some of the generations. Again, there's some folks that just want the materials and the manufacturing process that has value to them, whether it's a spring hinge or a titanium frame or a really cool manufacturing process, or just how the frame looks and how it was engineered. That also, you can sell the value on that. So we're not selling fashion here. We're selling material and manufacturing to those that would be gravitated towards that. Of course, how else do we sell value? Premium brands, right? So other venues make them premiums. Let's treat them as premium. And so what's in it for them? Really, it's all about your patients, doctors. What's in it for them, whether it's style or strength or longevity. Sell the value while you're recommending these frames to your patients. Absolutely. And then finally, it's time to finalize the process. Finalize the process. Oh, there she is, fresh young face. Prepare your presentation. So we're talking about getting ready to close that sale, everybody. So prepare your presentation, tell the story. Overcoming patient objections can be kind of a challenge sometimes. And we're going to talk about some of the reasons why patients will have objections when you want to finalize the process or the sale. Because sales are processes. We identify the wants and needs of the patient, and then we recognize their lifestyle. We make offerings in the frame and lens family. So it is a process from beginning to end. We want to overcome those patient objections as positively and as easily as possible. And here it comes. Overcome objections. One of the ones that we hear the most, well, not the most, maybe since COVID-19, is the time factor. It's taking too long. Why does it take so long? Is it because it's a custom order? Is it because I had to use a special lab for that? Maybe it's overseas in customs. Maybe it's in a harbor somewhere and it can't get to us in time. And then I think the majority would say it's vision plans, Jackie, right? So I don't particularly care for the term covered. They're not covered. The verbiage would be, Mrs. Clark, you have availability for all of our products and services, right? You have entitlements with your vision plan. So you have $160 towards materials. How you choose to spend that is completely up to you. I would like to share with you all the prices that we have for you. And then the price is up to you. Can we agree on that? And they're always going to say yes. So here's a frame that retails for $300. You're only having to spend out of pocket $140. You're getting, more than 50% off of that frame. So let's celebrate that. Look how much you saved. And then there could be a frame that could say, well, this frame is $20. You're getting 50% off. Look at how much you saved. We start with the higher end first, and then we work our way down versus you're covered. It won't cost you anything, because I can't lie to you. When a patient or consumer says, oh, I don't mind spending $150 out of pocket. But if you start out with it'll cost you nothing, they're not going to budge. They're not going to spend that $150 out of pocket. So entitlements, it's up to you. I'll explain everything to you for that, right? Sticker shock. They may not have worn eyewear before, and they didn't realize how expensive it was. Why is this so expensive, Jackie? Maybe it's materials, the manufacturing process, quality control, the warranty. Maybe it's, a high-end frame. So we have folks that do have objections when it comes to price, or they just can't simply afford it at that time. So we do our best to close the sale after all that presentation. We try to close that sale with confidence. Be confident when we talk about the price. I've seen opticians say, the seasoned, of course, oh my gosh, it's going to cost you $450 out of pocket. No, be confident in that. That will cost you $450 out of pocket. You've made some fabulous decisions on your eyewear. So overcoming objections in the most positive way we can, to make our patients feel comfortable with us without being too invasive. And then we say, okay, now the patient's having some objections, and I don't want to feel like I'm pressuring them. That's not why we're here. I believe that every patient should have a new frame, not based on their third party every 2 years. They should have a new frame just for you. I don't think so, Jackie. Okay, we're having a sale, a buy one, get one. Oh, no, I think I was going to use my own frame. What's on sale? Jackie, I want to use my own frame. I understand. So what I would do in that situation, I would stop and I would say, Mrs. Clark, I really want you to have a backup pair of eyeglasses. So you want to use your own frame? I fully understand. I'm going to find a frame for your current lenses if there's not a huge change in prescription. And as long as the distance between the lenses, don't trust the markings on the frame that say 16 or 18. The distance between the lenses, BBL, if it's the same, you can easily pop out their lenses into another frame. It could be a lower price point. Boom, they have a new frame for a backup, and you also sell a new frame. I want every patient to have a pair of sunglasses. I truly do, just for you. Mrs. Clark says, well, thank you. Well, how about a clip-on? And then there's the fit overs. Some folks will even take their previous pair of eyeglasses, remove the AR, treatment and then tint them. But what you're doing then is you're removing or getting rid of their backup hair. So that's not my favorite. But I really want these patients to have frames and new frames that are fashionable or functional, whatever. So sometimes we have to have a fallback plan, right? So packages, bundling of packages is a great way for us to offer, fashion package, children's package, safety package, what have you, fashion package. There's Care Credit. There's also another new company, and the name escapes me. I'm sorry, but there's two major players in like they have credit with your practice. One of them is Care Credit. One philosophy is it's a fallback, Jackie. I'm resourceful. I tried to offer them the best. They said no, thank you. So, we have Care Credit. Others are like, no, I want to put it in the forefront. The patient comes in to check in. The front desk says, Mrs. Clark, you have $485 in Care Credit. Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. We also take Care Credit. So the patient could be thinking to herself or himself, man, I was thinking about yearly contacts. I was thinking about a sunglass. So maybe I'm not going to be so concerned about paying money out of pocket. So fallbacks are there for a reason. Layaway, people still do layaway. I see people give the patient like 40 days to pay that in full, or the frame goes back on the board. So that's another way to fall back. And of course, buy one, get one. So you know what? It could be possibly that you lose them, right? Sorry, but it happens sometimes. So we know when to stop, but we planted that seed. And so they may have a windfall. They may win the lottery or a variety of other things that they are going to be receiving. So you may lose them, but we know when to stop. You planted that seed. You did your best. They may come back to you and you may be able to capture that patient after all. So we as eye care professionals, we have to know when to stop and just let it go. Just let it go. Speaking of let it go, sometimes the frames have to go. We have to divorce our frames and send them out the door walking, right? So typically when we look at these frames and the brands are not turning over, we really want to analyze the brands first. So look at the brand as a whole. We're going to be talking about turnovers in just a little bit in a calculation. So you look at the brand as a whole, how many pieces you have, do the math, analyze that first. If the brand's turning over, then if you really want to drill deep, if you have time on your hands, wink, wink, you would analyze individual frame styles second within that brand. And if the frame styles aren't turning over, you have to let that style go and replace it with another style within that brand. Maybe you went too heavy with metals and you're finding that all of a sudden plastics are flying out the door. You rearrange your inventory within that particular brand. So which one has to go? This little birdie right here. Okay. Let's see. Frame turnover. Here we go. For those that like to do the math, the frame turnover with product is going to be a yearly calculation. I don't recommend doing it once a year. I recommend doing it every quarter, whether you're a fiscal year or a calendar year. But the mathematics have to work within a 12-month. And I'll show you what that looks like in the next slide. The math to work, your mid-end should roll over or turn over 3 or 4 times a year. They should be rolling up that board 3 or 4 times a year. Our high end with a higher price point should roll over 1 or 2 times per year because it is a higher end brand, and patients will maybe choose to use their own frames if it is high end because the styles don't go out of style and the quality may be just superb. So when a patient wants to use their own high-end frame, let's not make them feel bad about that because they want to use that frame again because it does have that differentiation. It's not going out of style. Therefore, they tend to roll over not as quickly. If they're not paying the rent, they have to go. Remember that? And when we do this calculation, we have to quite simply determine, should I keep it, watch it, or say goodbye to it? Keep the brand, watch it for a little bit, or say goodbye to it. And here's what it looks like. This is the O'Keefe turnover calculation in Excel. This will be in your handouts. The link will be in the chat. The turnover is the number of units sold for 1 year divided by board allocation. What does that mean? Well, if your board has 64 spots, that's your board allocation, okay? We want to convert the units sold to a 1-year equivalent because that's how the math works. I don't want to wait a year to see what's turning over. I want to be more frequently. So here's how it works. Here's the example. The brand sold A, B, C, D, or E. You have a number for 3 months that sold times 4 is the yearly equivalent for 12 months. Number sold, allocated inventory, and the end result. The math is for division. It's right here. Number sold divided by allocation equals the end result. So brand A, I sold 64 pieces in Q1. I had 32 pieces on my frame board. My end result was a 2. I'm probably going to watch brand A. I'll watch it for another few weeks, maybe a month and a half in between Q1 and Q2, and then reevaluate that. Brand B, I sold 84. I had 32 pieces in all my styles, 2.625. What I might consider with brand B might be, let's make more room for brand B by reducing brand A if it's not performing over time. Brand C, the end result, 2.185. I'm on the fence. Brand D is rolling out the door, almost a 3 turnover. I might make room for more Ds, right? Number sold was 90, but I only have 32 spaces. So why don't I make that maybe 64 spaces? And then here, brand E, I always watch it first, by the way. Watch it first, and if it's not rolling over, what you would also do is if a frame brand's not turning over, physically move it across the room, put it into a different display, or if you can't move it, re-merchandise it. If you're working in, if your practice doctors has a multi-location, well, let's bring that brand over to another location and see if it sells there. So physically move it, re-merchandise it, watch it. If it's still not turning over, sorry, it's time to say goodbye. So if you move and re-merchandise, maybe make sunglasses out of them, fashion sunglasses. Maybe you could make sports polarized Plano sunglasses out of them. Invest a little bit more money, but you're trying to get back to capture your retail. Maybe make little over-the-counter readers. So we want to capture your retail first. If we can't capture retail, let's try to capture at least 1.5 times of my wholesale. Put them on sale, logo, a package, perhaps even if you want to break even, you could maybe talk to the frame rep and capture something, right? Return them, or maybe you could even to capture something, you could offer a SUNWEAR on a value brand to your contact lens patients as an incentive for yearly contact lenses. So lots of things that we could do with them. We want to bring them back to the rep, or AKA, I think that they should be called frame consultants. And then there's also liquidate. Liquidate is a write-off to a Lions Club, to lots of missions that take place. At least you get to write them off on your income tax. So this is the best case scenario to capture your retail, capture some retail, break even or capture something, and then to liquidate, to write them off. So this is what happens when a frame has to go off of that board. Here we go. Keep going here. And you could also be creative, by the way. When you say, Jackie, I want to keep the frame in my practice, but I want to try to sell them. Again, lots of things you could do to them outside of sunglasses and outside of over-the-counter readers. Maybe you could offer them as other incentives outside of yearly contacts. Maybe you could offer a sale that says, if you purchase a complete pair of eyeglasses from certain collections or not, or just any eyewear complete, I'm going to offer you a sunglass frame for your prescriptions. All they have to invest in is the lenses. So we know that lenses can be more profitable than frames. So if you can offer a frame for free, incentivizing your patients, then you can make a little bit more on that lens sale as well. And again, our frame reps will tell us, yes, Jackie, I'll take them back and I'll swap the product out. But once again, remember that $16 that we talked about that the Vision Council said is an unforeseen cost? Now the rep has to come back in and we have to do it all over again. So all due respect, I think our frame consultants are amazing. A really amazing consultant will know your practice, know your demographics, and you should see less of a turnover issue when it comes to certain brands. Yes, at some point, we must say goodbye. So here we go. Liquidate, oh, and donate. I'm sorry, liquidate, that was the last one, was also donate. I think during the pickup is super important. So I was doing some temp work in the Tidewater area of Virginia. There's a lot of ODs in our area. And so I may not have been the one to fit the patient or recommend the eyewear to your patient. But what I want to do during that pickup is, whether I was the one or not that provided that to the patient, is I need to resell the value. I need to remind the patient, the end user, of the value, right? Well, we talk about this a lot: exclusivity, strong manufacturing, cool materials, high end, right? I'm going to resell that when the patient comes to pick them up. And so what is the presentation? If a frame comes with a bag, and it comes with a box, and in the box is all the packaging, use it. So when the patient comes to pick up, especially their high end, don't leave that bag in the back, by the way. Bring the bag out. They have the bag, they sit it down, they remove the tissue. Ooh, there's a pouch in here. Open the pouch, and then there's a box. Open the box. Oh my goodness, it's like the holidays. And then there's going to be a case. Open the case, and there's the eyewear and a microfiber cleaning cloth. That's an amazing presentation. Even if it's not high end, still present that frame to that patient, because maybe it's going to be one of your mid ends. Maybe it didn't come with all the goodies, but try to present it to them as though they're gifting themselves. Because you know what, my generation, the boomers, and the generation before me, we love to gift ourselves, especially if we are empty nesters. So we talk about selling the frame and exciting that experience for that patient, make the presentation worthwhile. And then there's attaboys. Again, I am dispensing a pair of eyewear that, let's say, Janet provided to Mrs. Clark. I'm going to say, wow, Mrs. Clark, you made some amazing decisions on your lens technology. Your frame style is just fabulous. Or use words that you're comfortable with. Your frame style is perfect for you. And I'm also going to say, you know what? Attaboy for Janet. I'm glad that she helped you make some super smart decisions on your eyewear choices. You both are just a great, great team. Yes. So now we're part of a team, right? And this is nothing new, doctors. I've heard speakers say this for many, many years. You know, when a patient comes in and they're getting ready to leave, oh, come back when if something, okay, get it right, Jackie. Oh, if something goes wrong, come back. Or come back if you need something. Or come back if there's a problem. So now you're telling the patient, oh my gosh, there's a problem. So adios verbiage could be a couple of things. Oh my gosh, please come back every 6 weeks for complimentary cleaning and adjustment on us, right? What my mom and I used to do with my mother, 20 years at the Kennybunk Optical, Jenny McLaughlin. So we would say to the patient, actually, excuse me, our customer, because we were not ODs, we'd say to them, you know what? I want you to come back in 6 weeks for complimentary adjustment. And you know what else? I want you to tell me how many compliments you got on your new eyewear. Yes. Now, Mrs. Clark could be playing bridge one day with her friends, and they could go, wow, Mrs. Clark or Jody, something's different. Did you get it? Did you get a new hairstyle, or maybe a new lipstick or a new makeup? She's like, no, I have new eyeglasses. So you know something? They may not have noticed the eyewear, but in her mind, because we said to her, tell us how many compliments you got on your eyewear, she's going to come back to see us excited saying, Jackie, I got 4 compliments on my new pair of eyeglasses. So I think that adios verbiage is super, super important during the pickup. Invite them back, make it positive. And again, I know that with COVID-19 is everybody's so busy and there's so much to do. All the frames have to get cleaned up and all the equipment has to be scrubbed down again. But let's try to make it as positive as possible during the pickup, right? The dispense. Some people refer to it as the dispense. I prefer the pickup. So do we ever apologize for the price of high end? We never apologize for the price of high end, not even once.